Hey everybody, welcome live to the Jim Master Show Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show series. We've got a very special guest coming to us from Los Angeles, California. Yes, Tinseltown, Hollywood. She's amazing. She's also a friend of several of the other guests who've been here, Grace Patterson and Anna Marie Dobbins and several others. It's a small world, gang. Nice to have everybody here. Thanks for watching all around the world. If you want to comment, you can comment in our chat room while the show is on live. We can comment underneath the episode 24/7. Dana is here. Dana Kippel. She is an extraordinary director, writer, actor, producer living in LA. She hails from the New York area, from the East Coast. She's an avid advocate for something really fantastic, mental health awareness, which I think is so incredible. Also, neurodivergence. We're going to talk about what that is. And she infuses all of that into her productions of film and her creativity and in her life on an everyday basis, which I think is something quite special and unique as well. She infuses her metaphysical beliefs into every film that she makes. And she loves anything about futurism and mythology, philosophy, poetry, speculative fiction, ancient language as well. And her mission truly is not just to make great movies and all, that's part of it, but yet to use the medium of film and books to inspire people to look inside themselves, realize the true power, get that spark lit again and get out there and take on that world. Also to enhance the curiosity and the connection and the self-love, which is so important. We talk a lot about that here with our guests on the Jim Master Show Live series. Her artistic style is picturesque. It's naturalistic, whimsical, metaphysical as well. And each moment carries a whisper of magic. Her expertise in grounded sci-fi drama and comedy combine together to make her a powerhouse in production. Dana has a background in marketing, entrepreneurship, psychology, mathematics, and science, and she brings her own personal struggles, which she's very, very open and authentic about, things like addiction and mental health, self-love, into the stories that she weaves and she tells. And she's also currently authoring a book on plasma intelligence and the metaphysics of plasma. Pretty fascinating, right? Welcome, Dana, to the Jim Master Show Live series. It's awesome to have you here.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for saying all that. That was an amazing intro, probably the best one I've had.
My pleasure. My pleasure. It's incredible because you mix and weave all of these life experiences, the humanity of it all, into your art. What came first for you? The love of science, the love of art and entertainment, or were they always sort of neck and neck for you, Dana?
Yeah, I think what actually came first, and I call it metaphysics now, but when I was younger, it was like the love of magic. Like I wanted a magic set. I watched magic shows.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, I drew pictures of like aliens and these other beings and all these magical things, not even knowing what they were. So I was channeling something at a young age. And then I would say science, God, it came at the same time. Maybe science a little bit first. Loved everything about science, naturally excelled in it. And then I loved everything about art. So I don't know, it just fuses together.
So
Yeah.
what were you able to sort of pursue first? Was it writing and performing? Because you're an actress as well. So you've done
Yes.
performance. Was that first as well?
Yeah. So, in high school, I did start out actually in science. I had the Excellence in Science
Well,
Award. Oh, can you hear me or did I break up?
yep.
Oh,
I think you
you're
broke
okay.
up a little bit, but yep. Well, we
I'm
hear
good.
you. Yep. You're there.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I won the Excellence in Science Award in high school. So I always excelled in science. That was definitely my first love, I guess you could say. And then I'll just be super open. I ended up going to rehab when I was 16 and 21. So, I wasn't able to really go to school for science or to film school because I had an interest in that as well. And then, I kind of worked in marketing and business development for 10 years. I opened a food business, and then I kind of worked myself back when I turned 30 to acting, and then directing and writing down the road to where I am now. So I would actually say the science came first, and now I write and direct about things that have science topics.
What would you say is probably the very first big project or big break for you that
Mhm.
really got things on the roadmap for you and then got things propelling in a forward trajectory for you?
Yeah, so I did book. It never went to series, but I booked a really cool like pilot slash sizzle to be Tarna from Heavy Metal, and that was a really big deal. It was a bigger production, and I met really cool people on that set, and it went to Comic Con, which was really cool. And of course, as Hollywood does, like things fell apart, but I think it showed me what I was capable of and gave me a taste of the limelight, and it also helped me get traction for like maybe booking other roles, people taking me more seriously at that level. And now, I also talked to someone on that set about writing and directing too. So I think that kind of is what really got me going, mixed with like talking to some people who encouraged me to write and direct.
I mentioned you also infused some comedy into the work. Tell us about that. Where does that comedic funny bone come from?
I love comedy. I think this is when I don't know, I feel like in a funny way the neurodivergence kind of comes in here and like my whimsicalness, but like I've always just been myself and like a little bit strange, which I think is amazing. I think everyone should be strange and weird in themselves. But naturally, I guess I'm funny because I don't have a filter. I can't actually be funny or try to be funny, but a lot of awkward things have happened to me that I use as comedy. So that's that.
Well, you know what it is? It's like you are able to observe things that are going on in life
Mhm.
and then be quick-witted about it. And I'm that way as well. And I get that from my father, who's also from New York. And
Oh,
I think there is something about maybe just that East Coast vibe a little bit where the pace is a little faster, so there's so many things going on that you can have this quick observance of life and be
yeah.
able to just come up with a quick quip about what you're seeing happen in front of you. You could be in a supermarket line and come up with a whole skit about what's happening, and it's a cool thing to be able to have that ability to observe it and then make it funny as it's happening, even if it's not necessarily happening to you but just happening around you.
Yeah, you actually really made me think of something. I want to give credit to my father, my dad who raised me, Edward Kippel. He's like 82 now, and he was so funny growing up. Like he would just say the most random out of pocket things out of nowhere and just think of things really fast. And like sometimes it wasn't funny, but that's what made it funny. But I really attribute my humor to him actually. So you bringing up your dad made me think of my dad.
Yeah, it's a similar sort of mindset.
Yeah.
So, filmmaking and producing and acting, and then also, metaphysical philosopher. For the viewers who are watching, who may or may not be sure what that is, tell us
Yeah.
what a metaphysical philosopher is and some of the things that you do and you study and you share.
Yeah, so obviously, if you look metaphysics up, they have their own definition, but I kind of have my own definition of metaphysics. It's the bridge between spirituality and science. It is looking at reality from different perspectives, looking at consciousness and sentience and why we're all here. Those big mystery questions. I also think it actually is a study of like natural things in everyday life and the little magic in them. That's like my little definition of metaphysical philosophy. Just, my own little magical, mysterious perspective on the natural things of life. And then also it can be anything from like natural things to like telekinesis and exploring if that's real and traveling different dimensions of consciousness. So it really can get crazy or it can be pretty grounded in reality.
Is that something that you were always interested in even as a kid? I mean, were you watching movies or shows, reading books that sort of went in that direction? Was that something that you
Mhm.
gravitated to early on in your life?
I remember my favorite books growing up were A Wrinkle in Time and Siddhartha. So I think those kind of gave me a metaphysical flair. But I think it mostly came from my imagination. I had a very active imagination. I would go to this portal in my closet and go to different worlds. And in my head, and I, talk to myself in the mirror, and I don't know, things that maybe people would think is strange now, but I spent a lot of time alone, I feel like, and I just had an extremely overactive imagination. And this is where I would come up with that stuff. And then I wrote as a little kid too. So I'd write all these elaborate stories about other worlds and mermaids and fairies and aliens. And yeah.
That's what I was going to say. You probably created your own world
Yeah.
when you were a kid, which I
Mhm.
think is great. Magic is part of that too. I had a magic set when I was a kid. I used to do magic, for the family, the relatives at holiday time. I still love magic. I love ventriloquism too. I love ventriloquist
Mhm.
dolls and to be able to create stories with the dolls. We've had several of those folks on
Oh,
our
cool.
show as well. Were you a fan of the Star Treks, the Star Wars, the Twilight Zones, all of
Mhm.
those types of shows?
So funny. Like, I don't know if I was my dad liked Star Wars or Star Trek, and I didn't want to like it because he did, and I was being rebellious, but I actually never watched it up until like a year ago. And then as far as Twilight Zone, I never watched that until I think I was like 18 or 19. So I think mine was purely like in my head. The only movies I can remember that were a little bit like fantastical that I loved were like Beetlejuice and Mars Attacks. So like I think that definitely influenced me as far as like my whimsicality goes. But I really get like almost all my ideas come straight from my head. Like I know I have influences, but they're from somewhere else.
They're from some other source that flows in and out of you, right? Exactly. When you get, I had a friend who, he's no longer with us, unfortunately, but he was a genius. And he
Mhm,
would get, and he was actually from New York, from Long Island. And
mhm.
he would, get these incredible visions, or he would just get this inspiration, usually 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning when everybody's sleeping, the family's in bed. He would wake up out of sleep and he would run right to the typewriter or the
Mm,
computer and just start typing, you know, screenplays and things
yeah,
that were he dreamt about or things that
yeah.
he was inspired by. And he would always, he said his most creative time was late at night when the world was quiet. Are
Yes.
you like that too?
So, yes, like mine can come at any time, day or night, but it has actually mostly been night. And I would say it's funny you say that because I have that same thing. I get all my ideas from dreams or meditations or just random sometimes, but most of the time it is from my meditations where it'll just come into my head and then I'll go write it down, or like I'll write down my dreams. And then, like, my next film that I'm filming this summer was literally all out of my dreams and my meditations. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really cool because we've had songwriters and well-known singers and performers who have come through, and they've said something similar. They have
Mhm.
said things like Melissa Manchester. I use her as a reference. She said, there's time. I asked her, how are you inspired to write these incredible, iconic songs and
Mhm.
things of that nature? She says, well, Jim, it can come at any time. I could be laying on the couch, wake up from sleep, and all of a sudden walk from one side of the house to the other, and then I'm
Mhm.
hit with some sort of inspiration. And what I need to do is I need to capture that now. So I
Yeah.
run to the piano and I've
Mhm.
got a recorder set up
Yep.
next to the piano. I press record and I just hit the keys, and whatever's flowing through, I'm recording it and I'm saving it. So that way there I can come back to it later. And that energy and the power of it isn't sort of dissolved if I don't save it then. When
Yeah.
you are inspired, when different things come your way, are you trying to, save it as best as you can?
Yeah, I do know to do that because it does come quicker. Like, I'm the type of person that will write like a script or a book in a few days or a few weeks. And I do notice sometimes it will go away, but that just means it's not really for me. Like, that idea will go into someone else's consciousness anyway. But there also have been times where they're like longer, drawn out things, like the book I'm writing about plasma metaphysics. Like, things just kept coming to me over like a period of 2 years. And I think I had to also go through some personal journeys um, to be able to write the book. And that just has seemed to be like a steady, like I got a big flow of information, then it stopped. And now I'm kind of getting like a steady flow and it's just time to do it. But the idea hasn't left me. And I have a lot of movies like that that haven't left me. They're still in my head waiting for me to make them. And then there were like other ideas that would come to me and then they leave really quick if I don't act on them. And those, I think, are not my destiny. Yeah, I could choose them to be, but they're not.
Exactly right. It wasn't meant to be, and focus on the things that you're more in tune with, attached to, and that seem to be more potent and will take you to different places. You, as I mentioned when I was welcoming you to the show and welcoming our viewers, and we say hello to everybody watching live around the world and watching this later in the archives. Nice to have you with us here on the Jim Master Show. From the East Coast, you live there in LA, grew up in the New York area. Tell us about, when you decided to go from New York to the West Coast to LA, and some of the things. I know you've been very open and authentic about different things you've dealt with as well, self-love, mental health, addiction, different things that a lot of people are faced with, once, twice, or multiple times in their lives.
Yeah, so my story, and I'll try not to draw it out too much. I first went to rehab when I was 16 in Pennsylvania. I moved back to New York. I graduated high school in rehab. I tried to go to school for like makeup because I couldn't figure out, it was like the least scary option at the time. And then I flunked out of that or stopped going. I ended up going to rehab again when I was 21. So I had like a really tough go of it. And those were all, those rehab visits were all due to like unprocessed trauma that I had from, difficult things in my childhood and teenage years that I'm still working with today. And then when I turned 21, when I got out of treatment, I relapsed again. And then that's when I really decided to turn my life around. And I was like, wow, like I'm going down the wrong path here. And that's when my life changed. And I worked in mental health for 9 years in South Florida. That's where I was in rehab. I opened up a food business in that time that was very successful. I brought that out here and sold it. So my journey, that was kind of my journey out here. And then I got here when I was 30. And, that's when I started my childhood dream of acting and writing and directing and learning science and magic and all these things. But I think I took a huge detour, but I'm so grateful for it because I have like values and morals and I have so much to write about. It is crazy.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking, that there might be ways to take what might seem lemons and turn them into lemonade, that there are, because you've lived it and you've experienced these things about life.
Mm-hmm.
It's rich material. It sort of adds to the flavor of the product that you create, right? This understanding of life and how to get through things, and how to sometimes have to look internally, make sure before you go loving the rest of the world, you got to love yourself. All of
First.
these things, right?
Yeah. You definitely have to love yourself first. And like, I don't know where I was the last 20 years, but I must have been on autopilot because like, I don't know, just in the past like 4 years, I feel like I've woken up to myself. And, I got, sober when I was 21, but even the 9 years in my 20s after that, like part of me was asleep. Like I was just on autopilot. And I don't know, ever since I turned 30, started meditating, something in me switched where it's almost like life feels harder in a way because I'm dealing with things that I've ran away from my whole life, but it's also way more deep and beautiful. And like, I feel like I'm like actively participating in my life. I don't feel like a ghost kind of wafting through it. Like on a surface level, which honestly was a bit happier, but I do think I'll get back to that in like a deeper, more beautiful way.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah,
almost have to, yeah, like you have to go through it, a couple of steps back to take several steps forward, but also to
yeah,
go through it, to process it and get through it and come out of it, sailing high, and taking
yeah.
life with a different, taking it on with a different perspective, a deeper, richer, more meaningful perspective, right?
Yes. And I saw Marilyn ask, my tattoos are a reminder. Yes. My tattoos for the most part I got right after I got sober. So in Florida, everyone like who was cool had tattoos. So I got like we that's what we would do instead of like going out and drinking and clubbing, we would go get tattoos and be like risky and rebellious. But they're kind of a reminder of just like how I started out when I was getting sober and like how I started my new life almost as like a teenager again. And those were like my college years that I spent with a lot of people who were also recovering from addiction, which added a whole new layer to growing up. And unfortunately, a lot of those people passed away. So, my tattoos are a memory of like gratitude for those friendships, and also like a nostalgia for almost like my teenage years all over again. Because my real teenage years, I barely remember.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. Did you have the support and love of family and friends around you to help you through all of it, or were you doing you?
Yeah, I mean, I will say my parents like did the best they could with what they had. When I was a teenager, they tried to support me. I really don't think they even knew where to start. A lot of parents and people that struggle with their kids having addiction or loved ones think it's something they can change or it's their fault. Or like we're doing this to them, and that's just not the case. Like we're just in an incredible amount of pain, and they're unfortunately, a byproduct of that is hurting the ones we love. But there's nothing you could do to get someone sober, like absolutely nothing. Like the best thing they did was send me to rehab so I wouldn't die. But besides that, like unfortunately, there wasn't much they could do. And then when I did end up going to rehab for the last time in Florida, they didn't speak to me for a while after I got out because I had relapsed. And I was like in and out of halfway houses. I was homeless for a few nights, but it still was very scary. That was just like that whole period was such a wake up call not having my family. And I know there's plenty of people who don't have their families. So like I can't even imagine that. Yeah. But me and my parents like did not have a great relationship growing up and in my teenage years. I mean, they'll be honest about that, but now we have a wonderful one, which is great.
Do you have siblings?
Yes, I have a brother. He also struggled with all of those things. He now is living in South Florida and has a girlfriend and is happy and working and all that stuff. But he went through very similar trials and tribulations.
And you are a mental health advocate, which is fantastic. Tell us about some of the work that you do in that regard and how you want the work that you do in film and elsewhere to reflect all of this that we're talking about, which is a beautiful thing.
Thank you. I mean, the way I started was I wanted to give back how I was given help. So I worked in the mental health field. And where I was working, we could only help people who had really good insurance or who were really rich. And I just did not like that. So after a while, I was like, oh my gosh, like I can make movies that people can buy for like $3 that have the same messages and probably
Right.
will like seep into them a lot better through a movie than some like counselor, just to be honest. I think people learn through story in like a cellular, beautiful way that will inspire them where they're not like resistant to it. So when I figured that out, I was like, oh my gosh, like there's so much. And like I will say, I write to understand myself, but I also know that by doing that, it helps other people. I don't think you should just write for an audience. It's a very easy way to lose yourself. But when I write to understand and help my inner self, I think that will connect with people. So, yeah, my goal is for my films to help people connect with their inner selves, which in turn will hopefully help them connect more with other people and nature and, the feeling of love again, which many of us don't even know what that really feels like. I'm still figuring that out.
Right, exactly. It's something that, well, I've always, and I've mentioned it on this show and elsewhere, and many times even before I even created this series, I was always somebody, and I still do about this much, but whenever on an airplane, it's because it's how we were raised. We weren't raised to necessarily just think about us first,
Yeah.
others, take care of others.
Yeah.
It's a community, it's a team, it's a family. So when I was on an airplane and I would hear the flight attendant say, in the event of an emergency and the
Oh,
oxygen mask drops in front of your face, when I
yeah.
would hear that, I would say, wait, no, 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 that's crazy. That's greedy. That's selfish. You can't just grab it help you before you help them. I'm like, no, no, that's not the way we were taught and the way it's supposed to be. We all help one another. And so, I'll help them. And then whatever I have left for oxygen will be mine.
Oh,
Now I realize, and it took, which I mentioned on the show and in my professional work too, but people have
yeah.
said do a movie or write a book on it. I had an incredible experience driving alone after a television shoot through
Mm,
Death Valley. in a rental car after the shoot in August, 110-degree heat, alone with nobody, no supplies, nothing. Just wasn't something I would normally have done,
Mhm.
but just felt propelled to do it and was pushed in, and it was very life changing. And one of the things in coming out of that was realizing that you do have to put the oxygen mask on you first
Yes.
before you, and it isn't greedy and it isn't selfish to put and they have to put it on them too. The people around you have to put it on
Yeah.
them first. But it took a thing like driving along through Death Valley in August heat to where it was self. It was an experience with self,
Mhm.
whatever energies, I felt like a divine. I felt the earth. I felt the energy of
Yes.
nature all around me, which was really powerful. And it got me to realize, you do have to, it's not selfish. It's not greedy. It's not, every man for themselves. If you grab it,
No.
uh, everybody should do it. And so I've had that experience as well, uh,
Mhm.
where I would have laid guilt on myself I
Mhm.
laid guilt on myself that I didn't have family and friends in the car to take them on that journey for Death Valley, that it would be heightened if they were with me,
Yeah.
hearing their oohs and their ahs and
Yeah.
providing the joy and the pleasure for them to be looking at the beauty of and the risk of Death Valley. And then I
Mhm.
realized there's going to be times when moments are supposed to just be mine. But it
Yeah.
took me to, I'm an ocean. You know the East Coast
Mhm.
too, and the West Coast. I'm an ocean person. We grew up near the ocean. We're a couple of
Mhm.
blocks in from it now. You got to drag me out of the ocean. So the ocean.
Yeah.
We're in the suburbs here. Cities, nature, forests. All of that is great. This had to be hot, risk, desert, unplanned, unpredictable in order
Yes.
for me to get in there and challenge myself and come out of it richer for that experience.
Yes, and what you said two really important things. I mean, the one thing is that we can't plan for these spiritual awakenings as much as we want to, and that's like our left brain, our logic. Like they're going to happen at the most random times, and if we're just following our heart and living our lives, like we just need to trust that they'll happen. We don't need to plan like this big trip, like my movie, but this big trip to like Sedona to do shadow work. Like it might happen when we're driving through the desert going to the place to do shadow work, right? So we can't plan. Life is just beautiful and mysterious, and that's the fun part about it. And then what you said about the oxygen masks, like how amazing would the world be if we just all took care of our own oxygen masks? No one would have to save anyone. Like it's just such a profound thing, and yeah,
That's
we got to work on
true.
it.
Well, I was always the guy that, when it was my birthday, I'd be
Mhm.
slicing the cake to make sure everybody gets the piece before I do, and it's my birthday. and I'll have family, they still do it. I have family and friends that say, "No, no, Jim, you get the first piece. You can cut it if you want, but it's your birthday. This day
Yeah.
is yours. You get the first piece." Yeah, but don't you want a piece here? Let me slice it up for you guys. Ever the host. Let me take care of you guys. They're like, no, no, no. Will you stop, sit back, put your
Yes.
feet up? We're going to give you that cake.
Yes. Yes. Enjoy your life. Yes. They can take care of themselves.
That's it. Right. Exactly. And that's the thing I learned too with the Death Valley is that the world will continue spinning, whether I
Mhm.
continue to rescue it from itself and solving everybody's problems and figuring everything out for everybody and peacemaker and umpire and
Yes.
referee and calming everything down. And
Yeah.
my sister is very, very similar in that way,
Mhm.
you know, solving things, taking care of things for everybody, whether it's
Mhm.
career or friends or whatever it may be. And it's just something that we've always, thought about. I was going to say neurodivergence. What define that for the audience in case they're not sure what that is?
Yeah, so I mean it can mean a bunch of things. There's like a whole spectrum or wheel, but it can mean you have ADD, ADHD, I believe OCD or Tourette's, and then there's the autism spectrum. I'm not diagnosed, but I'm pretty sure I'm like very high functioning autism, like uh I don't know if this is the correct term, but Asperger's, somewhere in that range. But also I have complex PTSD and they actually present almost exactly the same. And I have been able to reverse a lot of things. So a lot of people think that I actually just struggle with complex PTSD. But I also do have like ADHD, ADD. But the way I think of neurodivergence is basically you're just like no filter, you're strange, you're yourself, you think your own way, and you're like a superhero. So I think it's a superpower. And then I have little tics and stuff like that, little throat tics that are incredibly annoying. But yeah, I just think it means you're a genius.
A lot of people have those things, but they're just good at hiding them.
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, yeah,
they're
masking. I'm really good at it. Yeah, that's why people, when I tell them I think I have it, they're like, "No, you don't look like you have it." I'm like, "I don't know what that even means."
because they assume that everything is in control and taken care of. And
Yeah.
are you a perfectionist?
I'm a perfectionist in some ways and not in other ways. Like if something's not exactly how I want it, I get very upset. And I'll harp on it and I'll obsess over it. But at the same time, like I've put out work that's not perfect. Like my movie's not perfect by any means. My movie Reflect. My writing stuff is not perfect. Sometimes I just want to rush and get it out there, and I should take more time. But I'm a perfectionist in other ways for sure. Like if something's really, 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 really important, like my book, for example, on plasma, it takes me a while to do it because I just want to make sure I do it right. And that scares me.
So that would be, I think there's a phrase for that. That's procrastinating
Yes.
perfectionist. So
Yes.
you have a closet that needs to be rearranged, and you'll continue to avoid the closet because you know that once you get involved in that closet that needs to be rearranged,
Mhm.
it's not just going to be a matter of folding the sweaters and putting them back on the shelf. It's going to be taking everything out, folding them, putting them maybe in different,
Yes.
locations, color coded, winter, spring, summer,
Yes, that's what
fall.
I have.
It's a huge project and you're going to need to like take the whole day. Nobody
Yes.
bother you, nobody call, nobody stop by, nobody text, because you got to work on that closet.
That's so funny because I have like 3 piles of laundry right now that no one can see. Yeah, that's very true. Oh my God, you just called me out. That's so funny. I'm gonna Google that.
We know what she's going to be doing this weekend.
I know. Pierre said a question I want to ask. How do you balance all these jobs in life? I don't know if Pierre's talking to me or you, but
Probably all of the above, because he knows that we do so much, and we do, right? There's a lot of balls in the air and do you like that? Are you somebody who likes having, as much as it can be annoying, aggravating, frustrating,
Mhm,
overwhelming, are you
mhm,
drawn to having a lot of things going on at once? Or do you crave, like,
mhm.
could you be somebody that's in an office
No,
doing data entry all day?
absolutely not.
Do you need to have several different things sort of brewing and happening to keep the juices flowing and feel connected?
Yeah, I think sometimes I have to watch out because it could be me escaping myself and connecting with myself. So I'm very, very aware of that and make sure I connect myself every morning and have my own time to myself. But besides that, like I just follow what I love and I love life and like you're supposed to have all these experiences and do what you like. So like just cause I don't know, I can do everything, right? So like I can study science, I can do movies, I can write books, I can become a metaphysical speaker, I can act. I love trying and sampling and experimenting, and that's kind of how I've always lived my life. And if I don't like something anymore, I'll just stop doing it. I don't really care. So that's kind of how I roll. And
You're
usually I
living
like
it on your terms now. Yeah.
yeah, and I like to roll everything into one sometimes. Like sometimes I'll put it all in a movie, like about all these topics, so I feel like I can research everything. Yeah, so like sometimes it's spread out. Like right now it's definitely spread out. Like I'm working on a pilot, a movie, a book, 12 million other things. I'm reading 3 different books. I'm a little bit all over the place right now, to be honest. But some of the time, right now I'm kind of funneling right now though into focusing on fundraising for my next film. So I am getting more focused and then I almost fountain back out into like my 10 different interests and then
Right.
I'll focus on one big thing again. That's how I work.
Tell us about the movie and the project and what you hope it's going to be and things of
Mhm.
that nature. Sounds exciting.
Yes. I can't talk too much about like what it is, but basically it's a science fiction film that is based on the descent of Inanna, which is a Sumerian legend. And damn it, I can't really talk about it. I'm filming this summer. I'm excited to, attach some amazing talent to it and raise the money. And right now I'm in the middle of it and I'm producing it myself. So I'm raising the money with this guy that I just signed onto the project, who's been an amazing help. And my roommate's helping me as well. Her name's Aiden. She's a great actress, Aiden Ricker. So yeah, I don't know. It's an amazing process and very empowering. And also, like, a lot of people trying to be realistic, telling me I'm not going to be able to do it. I definitely want to prove everyone wrong.
Really, they are? They're trying to
No,
shoot it down?
I'm raising $2 million. So people are trying to be realistic, like, oh, well, you might raise, only 600,000 or a million, or like, maybe it'll take longer. Not in a mean way. It's just people project their own beliefs. But, I want to
Right.
be that person to inspire people to dream big, and like, you can bend reality. So I think I'm going to raise it fast.
Will you don't have to say where or anything, but will you be filming at one location, one studio, or are you going to be doing multiple locations?
One town, and multiple locations in the town.
That's exciting, huh?
Yeah.
West Coast, probably, right?
East Coast.
East Coast. That's cool. Wow. Wow. That's cool. So exciting. Look for
Yeah.
the van and the truck and the lights coming to you somewhere between Maine and Miami.
Yeah.
Somewhere between Maine and Miami. She will
Yeah.
be there filming. And the
Yeah.
book too.
Mhm.
Tell us about this interest that you have with
Mhm.
plasma and all of that. Where did that come from? That interest, and what's the book going to be about?
Yeah, that came out of literally nowhere. I had no idea what plasma was, nor had I ever heard of it. And I think I was meditating and the infinity symbol came to me. And then all of a sudden I was researching plasma, the fourth state of matter. And before you know it, I like read this one book by this guy, Robert Temple, on how plasma has intelligence, which I already kind of was like channeling on my own. But basically, like, the better way to talk about it that's more digestible is it's just like chi or prana or the Akashic field or the force from Star Wars. It's this thing that is, we're made up of. It's as within, so without. It's the thing that our consciousness uses as a tool to create this reality. It's the clay that we mold our thoughts into things with. It's that substance. It's the thing we're feedback looping with between our consciousness and this like sentient field. It's evolving as we're evolving. So I'm writing a book about how you can use this field, or for me, I call it plasma, as a tool to connect with yourself better, to better your life and bring more magic into your life, and how we can even use it in a futuristic way to create new technologies, to communicate possibly with other dimensions, to create fusion, all those cool, fun things.
That's fantastic. So you've written, how far into the book are you already?
I mean, I have like 250 pages of notes. I have it outlined. I have literally not sat down to even write like a page of the book because of my own fear, because it actually feels like my destiny. And I have this weird resistance that I'm working out with my therapist. But this week, I'm supposed to start like actually sitting down and writing it and pushing past the perfectionism procrastination
Yeah.
because it feels very important. But I just have to do it. And I have to realize that it might not be perfect, and I'm going to write more books, and I'm just going to write what I know now. And it is
Are
what it is.
you right? It is what it is. Exactly. And you learn to get to that point of it is what it is. It takes time to get to that point to be able to actually say that and stick to it. Are you somebody who, are you good at committing to things and signing on the dotted line and then being locked into that? Or do you always like to have a little bit of an escape clause or be able to open the window and breathe? Does it take you time to be able to sign on dotted line for anything in life and commit and lock in? Or is that something that, you just don't do?
Yeah. If I commit to something, I definitely 100% commit. So I'm very careful to commit to things. That's why I do so much things on my own. I hate working for people. But right now I am creating a pilot for my new manager, which is really exciting. And there are deadlines. So it's one of my first times doing it. And there is resistance there. But at the same time, I love it. So I'm actually kind of looking at it at a new way. It's like an artistic challenge. But, or I'll give myself deadlines, but as long as I know I'm going to commit, I won't, and I'm more free. But I think deadlines, when I give myself them, I always achieve them. So I actually think they're really important for myself, for
Yep.
structure.
For structure, exactly. And it keeps you sort of focused and
Yeah.
you find that clarity. Uh,
Mhm.
Crazy Carrot Films. Tell us,
Mhm.
how'd you come up with the name, and maybe tell us some other projects that you've had an opportunity to work in, whether you've been the filmmaker, producer, or even the actress.
Yeah, Crazy Car Films was a funny story. I was filming a movie called Hellhounds, which is out with Uncorked Entertainment. It's a movie by Robert Conway. I was filming that in Arizona, and I was in the shower, and on the door of the shower and I was thinking I wanted to start my own production company because I wanted to, do more than just act. And I saw this like weird shape of a carrot, I swear to God, on the shower, like in the water and fog shaped. And it looked crazy. And I was like, Crazy Carrot Films. And then I took a picture of it. I got out of the shower, I took a picture of it. I sent that to someone to make a cartoon out of it, which is the cartoon now. I have the picture somewhere, but I cannot find it, of the picture on the shower of the carrot, Crazy Carrot. And it looks just like it. So anyway, that's how I came up with that, which was just once again just something that like magic, right? And the kind of the thought behind that Crazy Carrot is like we're always chasing a carrot, it seems. And I just instead want to be the carrot and I want to be crazy. So I'm not chasing anything. I'm just like living life and experimenting. Like be the carrot. Don't chase the carrot. That's a good thing. I've never written that before. I have to save that.
Well,
And then
it's here in perpetuity on the Jim Masters show. You could always watch this again if you forgot
yeah, make a
exactly how you did it.
record
That's
that
true.
part.
Yeah.
I have to share
Instead of
that
chasing the carrot, right?
carrot.
Be the carrot. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot, self-love. That ties into self-love.
Yeah.
Self-love is not something that always comes naturally. And self-love shouldn't be confused with narcissism and all these other things that, you hear people
Yeah.
talk about. And there's a lot of people, that are narcissistic and other things, but self-love
Yeah.
is really appreciating your value and your worth and your contributions and the reason for being here and the purpose and what
Mhm.
you have to offer and what you have to, if you give, you also have to be able to receive. And sometimes
Yeah.
that's difficult as well, right?
Yes, and the narcissist thing, like, the way I've thought of it, because 'cause I've questioned it too, everyone it's a healthy to question it. If you're questioning if you're a narcissist because 'cause you're giving yourself too much self-love, you're not a narcissist. Narcissists do not question if they're narcissists. So that's that. And then, as far as what you were asking me, saying about what other projects we're doing or I've done for Crazy Carrot Films, maybe?
Yeah.
The I filmed a short film called Damaged, which I'm very excited for people to see. We're almost done in post-production, and that actually is about addiction and relapse and having more compassion for addiction. And I'm going to submit that to festivals, so I'm very excited to share that. And then my film Reflect, reflectmovie.com. That's really it so far. And then my next film.
It's the fact that you've got this focus on these things you're focused on with the metaphysical, with mental health, the timing truly, and it's
Mhm.
not that you planned it that way, but the timing couldn't have been more
Mm.
ideal. Couldn't have scripted it better because it is in the vocabulary. It is on the tip of our tongues. There is a huge struggle as we're seeing, and we're seeing how people are dealing or not dealing with it. We're seeing how our societies and government and everybody's frustrated and not sure what to do and how to go about it and how to work on it. And uh, years ago, you wouldn't even discuss it. People were just shipped off somewhere or in a corner. And now it's at
Thanks.
the forefront. And you're seeing it. The homeless population has exploded. There's so many things around us that are pointing us in the direction of a lot of people that are, they feel alone. They feel pushed aside, perhaps. They feel that
Mhm.
society, they're not on the train with everybody else going in a forward movement. And
Mhm.
sometimes there's things that are done that they're acting out, violent, all these things that we see that then push people to say, oh, we've got to figure this out. I just
Mhm.
think that it's the timing couldn't have been better for the awareness and
Mhm.
the discussion, but also then putting it into the art as you're doing.
Thank you. I feel like I agree. After COVID, I feel like a lot of people have woken up to mental health and their own sadness from having to face themselves through that, myself included. And hi, Maureen and Marilyn. Thank you so much for saying those things. Yes, though, I think you're absolutely correct. And hopefully my film Reflect resonates with more people as the months goes on and people watch it on Amazon Prime or Apple TV or wherever they decide to watch it. But yeah, I'll always infuse mental health and metaphysics into my work. And yeah, I mean, I will say, even for myself to normalize it, like I felt incredibly, even though I made a film, I felt incredibly stuck and more sad than usual the past couple of years. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think if we're feeling sad, we're rubbing up against something we haven't wanted to look at. And I think there's a lot of joy coming for a lot of us in the future. And I think it's perfectly fine that right now a lot of us feel stuck. I think we're all just like dealing with these feelings that have come to the surface, where we're facing our own mortality from COVID, or we're facing the fact that we're maybe not following our dreams, or we have all these limiting beliefs about not thinking we can do things, or we've paid attention to everyone else our whole life and not ourselves, running from ourselves that way. I think you have to face the darkness in you before you get that inner light. So I think it's completely fine that we're all sad little chickens right now.
How do you feel about social media and its impact and how it's influenced society and changed society, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it?
I will say, like, I wish there was an alternate dimension where we like literally did not have social media. Like I love communication and texting and calling, but I really wish like people did not just see people's curated highlight reels. I try
Yeah,
to be authentic
that's
in my
what they are. Yeah.
Yeah, I try to be authentic in my social media. I try not to like wear makeup on my TikTok and just be like completely normal.
You.
But
Yeah.
I pulled into it as well. And I do think it's so unhealthy. But once again, I also think, since we are dealing with reality, I may as well confront that. Like, it's also a learning experience, and it's something that we can overcome and not. It's like you're going to be
Don't
faced
let
with
it
people.
rule your life and run your life.
Yeah, like you're gonna be around people you think are prettier than you, more successful than you. Like there's always going to be that. So you may as well face that head on, meet that demon inside of yourself and overcome that. And I think social media maybe actually just like put us in the position to work on self-love even more. So, but I don't
I
love it.
agree. Yeah. Yeah. Right. No, I agree with you. Yeah, it's true. There is so many other things that are of deeper, greater value. And,
Mhm.
that human connection is so important. We don't want it to go away, and we don't want everything to be curated or perfected. You want to have those real, honest, authentic moments that
Mhm.
you can't script and you can't perfect, and that just happen. And that's so really, really important on so many different levels. Do you, if you weren't in the arts, if you weren't a filmmaker and producer and actress and all the
Mhm.
rest, do you think you would have gone straight fully into science, or maybe
Yes.
even into medicine?
Science. I would have gone into like biophysics or theoretical physics and created all these things I want to invent right now. But I think I'm going to do that in like my 40s and 50s. I think that'll take more introversion, and I'm not ready to be that introverted yet. So, but that's definitely, I mean, I'm literally going to do that in my future, but I have plenty of time. So, not right now.
So stay tuned for that, right?
Yeah.
why do you love what you do? And I know it's a work, life is a work in progress, and you are working through things yourself, and you're using your art and your connections with family and friends and others to
Mhm.
help facilitate these things and tell the story and tell other stories and bring people together. What are some of those things that, you look upon that mean so much to you, that have you really enjoying what you're doing?
Well, in the most non-narcissistic way, I do, even though there are so many things I do not like about myself, I do enjoy being me. And this is a fun way to just express myself and like be authentic. And I think we're going back. I really do think we're going to see a lot of more people doing this authentic thing. Like the fame and celebrity, like I think that will always be there, but I think there's going to be a lot more like less filters and that kind of stuff. Besides that, why I love it, I really just think it is like self-expression. Like we're on this earth to create and to love. And like, I also really hope this gives me one day a platform to help other people. And I also love and hope that I can inspire people by doing what I'm doing. Like, the little Danas that are very insecure and hate their lives and don't think they're
Mm-hmm.
worth much.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe, women or men who just for whatever reason just don't think they can do it. Like maybe I can inspire them somehow. I don't know. Yeah.
That's what it's all about: inspiring one another, empowering one another. And do you see yourself ever doing like workshops and maybe even like coaching?
I think I want to definitely have a platform, like a metaphysical mental health platform where I have books and speak to people. But like, I'm huge on, like, I would love people to read my books and watch my movies, but I'm huge on people like, how do I say this? Like, relying on themselves and like
Mm-hmm.
creating their own tools. So like, I want to definitely create the books and for them to read and get inspired. But like I think as far as workshops, like I don't know, but I would love to just like speaking events. I would love to do, and yeah, just keep writing books and stuff. But as far as coaching, I don't know if I like. I don't think. I don't think that's my path for whatever reason. I've had amazing coaches though, like that have changed my life. But I think, if people watch my stuff and it resonates, I think that's as far as I'll go. I probably won't do like individual coaching because it'll take away time from like all the other stuff I'm trying to do.
What would you say to somebody who is listening to this conversation, watching it here on our show,
Mhm.
and they're inspired by the conversation, but they feel stuck in their place right now? They don't feel like they can get to where you've been able to work through and get beyond some of the things that life has thrown your way. They feel
Mhm.
like, oh, not me. There's no way I'm ever going to be able to get out of this. This is
Yeah.
just not, it's not meant for me. What would
Mhm.
you say to somebody like that watching live or watch this later in the archives, who's
Mhm.
in that place maybe
Mhm.
that you were in at one time?
I mean, I'll tell them I'm still there. I feel stuck the majority of the time. The only difference is I walk through that mud. So I acknowledge that I feel that way and I take action anyway. So I think the biggest thing is knowing your feelings in your mind are not always facts, and that can chirp all day, but you can overtake your body and like take action on your dreams no matter what this is saying. So just it's the Nike thing, but just do it is like so real. Like really just do it. And also have self-love and kindness. Like if you don't do it for a day or two, like have some compassion, but also like parent yourself a little bit and have some discipline and like, this is your one life. Like if you want to do something, like start doing it. Like there's no one coming to save you. And if you're complaining, like that's not going to actually get you anywhere. So, I mean,
Yeah.
we all get that way, but yeah,
Oh, yeah.
just do
I
it.
say the clock stops for nobody. It just keeps ticking. So make the most of all of it. If you woke up today and you had breath, you're already ahead of the game. You've won, and look at the little things. I said that during the pandemic too. I said, as people were flipping out and people were sort of, everything is changing and uprooting and everything's stopping and ending. I said, not everything. The ocean still is coming in and out with the tide. The sun is still rising and setting.
Mhm.
Squirrels are still running around gathering their nuts for the winter. flowers are still blooming, horses are still galloping, nature and other things larger than ourselves,
Mhm.
unaware of any of this going on with us, pandemics, things of that nature, are still doing what they do. And get out and try to surround yourself with some of those things that have a rhythm, have a vibe, that are part of life. And get out, plant a garden, whatever it is, bake that sourdough bread that everybody baked, do whatever it is, but get out to the ocean, get out to a mountain,
And
get
nature.
to places that were there well before us, will be there well after us. And you'll
Yes.
see that the world isn't exploding. We're
Yes.
going through a hiccup, a major one, but
Yeah.
still there are things greater than us that are
Yeah.
still there. And if that's what you need for the balance and the grounding, get out there and immerse yourself in that, right?
Yes, that's so wise. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. And that's the one actual advice I needed to hear. Because, like, I've been working really hard and, like, I don't go out in nature. And I just keep telling myself, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. It's raining. But, I think I need to set aside time for that. No matter how hard you work, I think it's very important to have that. So, yeah, thanks for the reminder.
That's it. We know what she's going to do this weekend. She's going to get out in nature and she's going to do that laundry.
Those are the most important part. That's like when you know that you're
that's
actually
life.
living life.
Yeah, that is life, I tell you. Our viewers have been commenting as well, and we could sprinkle a few of those in. Linda Odell is watching in Florida. Linda, so good to see you as well. Thanks for watching. She's saying, remember I said off air before we started the show that I said the show has a lot of light, love, and levity.
Yes.
And I said levity. They're already saying that you are a levity here on the Jim Master Show Live. How cool is that, huh?
Cute. Thanks, guys.
He's watching from Barcelona, Spain. It's good to see you there. Merlin's in Ontario, Canada, watching. She's in the house as well. And everybody's sending, great comments here. Thank you, Linda. Kathleen watching in New York City, the old stomping grounds, right? She's saying hello to everybody. And thanks for all these great comments, everybody. We appreciate it. And it's nice to have everybody, all the viewers commenting live. And again, those who want to comment a little bit later, you guys can do that as well. Maureen's watching in Arizona. Jen is in Pennsylvania watching live. Nice to see you, Jen, and everybody here. And Maureen says, there's a saying, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. That correlates to self-love. How can you love others if you don't love yourself? Which is
very true.
What we're talking about. Gary is here and says hello to everybody as well. Thanks, Gary. We appreciate seeing you here as well, and everybody. This was terrific, Dana. I really appreciate the time, and I hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I have with you. Really good. I think we're on similar wavelengths about life and what it's all about and everything. And
you're good people.
Appreciate that. I've been described as a couple of things. The ones on air that I can say are a number of people have said operate from a higher consciousness, high level empath, and from a place of real intuition. And I can plug into that. And I'm a Libra, so balance and harmony. So you sort of combine all those things together. And then if you're in the creative world, it's sort of like we have a third eye on things, and you like to feel things. We've got a couple of quick photos here too. This is cool. Yeah. Tell us what this is from.
That is a photo I took with this photographer, Isaac, and he is very talented. That must have been 2 years ago. I'm going right now back to blonde. So
back to blonde. Yeah. That sounds like a movie, doesn't it? Back to blonde.
Yeah, back to blonde. The treacherous year journey.
That's a cool shot.
That is me talking to Connect TV about Reflect before the Grammys, I think.
Very nice. Very nice. Look at this shot.
That is a still of my movie Reflect the movie. There you can find it on reflectmovie.com. So that's a still shot.
Really cool.
Grace is in the background of that shot, by the way. Grace
Patterson. Oh, yeah. I was going to say Grace Patterson, who our viewers may remember was one of the great guests on our show.
Yes.
And she connected us with Dana. And Grace, if you're watching, good to see.
And then this is a shot also by Isaac. I need to get his last name. I can't shout him out and just call him Isaac.
Mr. Isaac, right?
Isaac Alvarez. I was going to say that. Okay. Yes, Isaac Alvarez. He's an amazing, he's a celebrity photographer. He is so talented, and he takes pictures of me for free, which is so nice.
I have a friend whose husband is a professional photographer too. And so many of the photos over the years, that's exactly because we would have so much fun. We would go out in nature or go to the city or whatever it is. And he just said, let me just take them. I want to take them of you. And because, we work well. I know what he wants. He knows what I'm looking for. And when you can get that kind of gel going with somebody like that, you get magical work like that, which is amazing. Yeah. This was awesome, my friend. We're going to keep the porch light on for you. You are welcome back anytime. Spread the word about the Gym Masters Show Live series. If you know other folks, obviously you can see everybody tells everybody about it, and if folks want to see the episode again, of course you can see it right here on the YouTube channel, Gym Masters TV. Don't forget to share the episode, give it a thumbs up, the thumbs up icon on the YouTube channel, and drop a comment, interact. Tell us about maybe some of the things you enjoyed about this episode, our conversation, and other things that you want to share with us. We're very interactive here at the Gym Masters Show Live series, so we would love for you to do that. Dana, thanks for stopping by the show. Really awesome. Congratulations on all. Best of luck for you, and lots of joy and blessing in your life. And come back and see us again. We'll keep the light on for you, okay?
Yes. Thank you, guys. I had so much fun. Thanks, Jim. Thank you, everyone. Maureen, Marilyn, everyone.
The Lovities. Yeah.
Yes, the Lovity crew.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you, guys.
All right. You be well. Take care, Dana.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. All right. How cool was that, huh? And what a great conversation. Deep and inspiring, but also fun, as we always do here on the Gym Masters Show Live series. We appreciate Dana Kippel joining us here. One more time, we want to show you this. You can keep abreast of all the cool things, including the movie, reflectmovie.com, the website. She's originally from the East Coast, making her life on the West Coast. Going to be coming back to the East Coast for filming, which is going to be really nice. Hey, gang, I also want to let you know another great friend who's been on our show twice before, making his return visit tomorrow. Yeah, Sean Kanan, great friend of our show, and Bold and the Beautiful, The Young and the Restless, Cobra Kai, all of it. He is here tomorrow, which is going to be amazing. 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific live. Don't forget, the iconic Anne Margaret has been here on our show. If you didn't see that episode, a legend. Many legends have been here as well. Don't forget, we did that wonderful celebration, the 98th birthday of Dick Van Dyke, another incredible legend. On Friday, Carol Hollenbeck's going to be with us. She is a Hollywood legend extraordinaire and actress and award-winning playwright. She's going to be with us live from the East Coast, from New York. That's on Friday. Sean with us tomorrow, and Carol with us on Friday. And again, it's going to be great. These are fantastic shows coming up. 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. One more time, thank you to Dana for joining us, and thanks to all of our viewers watching around the world. We thank you for watching us here on the Gym Masters Show Live. I'm your host, Jim Masters. Come by and see us again. Again, if you enjoyed this episode, give us a like, subscribe, share, and just tell everybody you know about our show. It really helps. And if you enjoyed this episode, leave a comment for us too on the episode, right underneath. We'd appreciate that. That lets us know you're enjoying what we're doing here. And I hope you had a good time as well. We always say to the guests, we hope they had a good time, and we keep the porch light on for them. We keep the porch light on for you as well. Thanks for joining us, everybody. All the great comments, all the excitement today. This was awesome. You be well. Don't forget, really important theme that we say all the time on our show, but especially on this episode, right? Don't forget to love one another. Don't forget to take care of one another. And a theme tonight, don't forget to love yourself and take care of yourself. For all of us here on Gym Masters, thanking you for your time this time. Till next time, see you on the next episode. Come see us again here at the Gym Masters Show Live. Be well. Cheers.